Hey everybody, this is TotalGamerJunkie. I want to welcome you all back to my channel. So, before this video starts, I just want to make it clear, I do not own this content here. I took no part in making it. That you can find this on the YouTube channel SBell. The video and the YouTube channel will be left in the description below. So if you want to check out this channel and watch the full video, I highly recommend it. It's pretty fun. And actually, this video is how my theory video was created. So I was watching this, and like basically at the beginning of the video, everything is happy and that, and then you get towards the end, and this is after Max goes to sleep. Spoilers, by the way, in case you haven't seen it. So after she wakes up, you see everything's dark and gloomy, and it's just like everything's just not as happy-go-lucky as it was originally. You see that the place they're in is dark and it's depressing, and it's even more depressing when Max steps outside, as she sees there's a storm going on and there's a bunch of trees that have fallen down. You see some dead deer. So I thought, why not make this theory video? What would happen if the storm never stopped in Arcadia Bay? What if it just continued going through the world, wreaking everything in its path? So originally the storm is a water spout that is heading towards Arcadia Bay. Then, like just before it hits the town, it turns into a tornado. And and I've actually looked this up. This isn't possible, and well, at least in real life, I don't believe it's possible. But if it is, it's very, very extremely rare, you know, like a leprechaun or finding a four-leaf clover in a needle and haystack. So anyways, how this would work, like how I envision this working in this little game, is like in this clip of the video, you know, that was made by SBell or whoever did it. It's on the YouTube channel. So the way I pictured this happening is the storm's going on, it's raining. After Arcadia Bay gets destroyed, it doesn't stop. It just keeps on going and going in one direction, and the storm is following it. And then I'm thinking maybe because of tornadoes, air and wind, what if it starts spreading off, you know, like so you got one tornado, and then it starts splitting off into other ones, and these ones are going in different directions. And then you have these ones, so you got the original tornado, it splits, it makes two more of itself, which is 3. And then these other 2 make 2 more. So that's 5, and it just keeps doing this, and the tornadoes are going in different directions, and they're basically wreaking havoc on the world. I think that would be pretty cool if that did actually happen, because, like, talk about your choice having consequences. This would be a global disaster, you know, and people would be trying to think what they're gonna do. There'd be a global panic like there is with the coronavirus. Well, like the tornadoes aren't infectious; they're not a disease, or you know what I mean, but they are deadly, and not many people are going to be having bomb shelters, you know what I mean? So they're going to be forced to find somewhere to hunker down until the tornadoes pass them. So what's interesting is with this video, we don't exactly get a clear timeline of how long it's been going on. But just judging by the surroundings and looking in the video, I'd say maybe, like, because we got that cabin or little, like, shack, whatever you want to call it, that's pretty run down. We got, like, there's a car that's pretty rusted. We got trees and dead deer that are just, we got trees that are falling down. We got dead deer that are kind of rotting a bit. So it's not exactly explained, but maybe I'm saying that this would at least maybe a year, because when Max looks at the animals, she'll say, all these poor animals, when will it stop? So the storm is still going on. So maybe even if the tornadoes have gone away, then the storm is still happening. It's still raining and thundering, you know, and maybe towns are getting flooded. Maybe, you know, like cities even are getting flooded, and it's gotten to a point that's so bad that the oceans are getting so much water that the oceans are starting to come up to the surface, you know, like over flood islands and that, you know. Oh, why do I keep saying, you know? Getting my words twisted around here and that. So, to be honest, I do think that this setting is meant to be a type of apocalyptic one, and I do think that that this is what should like be an actual game, you know, because you got Mad Max, that's all about the desert and that, you know, because the oceans started drying up, I believe it was. I can't remember. I know there was the Book of Eli. That's a pretty good film, and there was like, I think it was solar flares or something like that. Most of the water got dried up from the heat of the sun, and then you had people that were evaporated, like they got burnt, and then you had people that went blind from it. If they survived the burnings, then they would have been blinded by the sun being that close, burning their retinas. So I do think like this should be like not Life is Strange, but I would personally like to see this happen in a game, you know, because we've had games and movies that are based on worlds that have been frozen in ice, apocalypse worlds, like machines taking over humanity worlds, you know. But there's never really been a storm type world, you know what I mean? Just a continuous storm raining down, because all this water, in the beginning it would be good for the forest and all that, but pretty soon all the trees and plant life are going to start drowning from the water, and they're not getting enough sunlight. So yeah, if Life is Strange does, like, because I don't see this ever happening in a Life is Strange game, but I personally would love to read a fanfic like this, because this is dark. I like stories that have dark themes in them, you know what I mean? Just dark settings, a world bleak, without hope, you know what I mean? And this really just brings that together, you know? It shows us the consequences of Max's choice. It really puts more consequence on it, instead of, okay, we're just, sorry, I get tongue-tied. It's not like, okay, the town gets wiped out, all these people die, well, most of these people die, and you get your best friend back. Like, there should be more of a consequence. Like, maybe this couldn't even be the storm. What if, just say, the day after the tornado destroys Arcadia Bay, an earthquake happens in San Francisco, Los Angeles, and so the catastrophes just keep building and building and building up. And since Max destroyed the photograph that she took of the butterfly in the bathroom, she can't go back and fix her mistake. And so how is she gonna do it? Like, she'd have to look back into one of her books, like, not one of her books, in her journal, and select one of her photos to go back, and she'd probably have to leave herself notes or something, or talk to Chloe or whatever, you know, to try and convince her past self to travel back and let Chloe die, so that way the storm doesn't happen. Because I thought this would be an interesting consequence, because one thing with games these days, they say, most games that go, your choices determine the outcome of your character and the story, really, games now aren't doing that as much. Like, it's really not a choice and consequence game. Like, if you take Dragon Age Origins, for example, that game really gave you choice and consequences. Your character could die at the end, and and then when you start the DLC called Awakening, you would play as a new character, but you'd have all that, if you imported your save data, that would carry on. So really, and the characters in the game can be in the next game depending on whether or not they're alive or dead. Like Zephyrin, he can be in Dragon Age 2 if he's alive in Dragon Age 1. But Dragon Age 3, like, because out of all the games, I gotta say Origins really has the most choice and consequences, at least it does to me. And then you have games like Infamous. Now, I love the Infamous series 1 and 2, but I don't see them as a choice and consequence type game. They merely present you with the illusion of choice. Because the way I play Infamous 1 and 2 is, I play Infamous entirely, I just go through it all. I do all good choices, except for that part where you have to choose between saving Trish and the 6 Doctors. I choose to try and save Trish, even though it's not Trish, because in this evil choice, Trish is one of the 6 Doctors. And I like to make that choice because Kessler is the one who kidnapped Trish and tied her up along with the Doctors, is Cole from an alternate timeline, who's trying to toughen himself up, to toughen his younger self up, so he can be ready to fight the Beast. So Kessler knows that Cole would have tried to save Trish, so he hangs Trish with the other Doctors, as a way of showing Cole, if you're selfish and you just only care about yourself, then lots of people are going to die, including the ones you care about. And because Kessler chose to run away with his Trish and 2 daughters, he would have known that Cole would have tried to save Trish, so that's why he also hanged her with the Doctors. So yeah, so I choose the evil choice there, and then in the second game I do all good choices. So really, because most games these days don't really give you the choice and consequences. Like Life is Strange, that's good. Like Life is Strange 2, for example, one of the things I liked about that game was it had multiple endings. It wasn't just a simple, like, cross the border or surrender. Depending on how you raised Daniel, like how you taught him to use his powers, what life lessons you gave him, determined whether or not he agreed to cross the border. And Sean can end up dying, and I was like, wow, I could not believe that just happened. Like, they both can end up crossing the border. Sean can end up crossing without Daniel. Daniel can end up crossing with Sean, but Sean dies, and it's just really, wow. Like, you can even have Sean go to jail, and that was 15 years he spent in there. Like, Christ. So anyways, that's really all I wanted to talk about in this video. Let me know what your thoughts are. If the storm continued, how do you think it would have affected the world? Do you think there would have been something more worse than the tornado, like an earthquake, or a fire-nado, which is a tornado on fire, or anything really, like a tsunami? Like, let me know in the comments below. This is TotalGamerJunkie, signing off. And before I sign off, I just want to say real quick, I'm going to be uploading that What If Life is Strange theory video, the one that's going to be based on episode 3. It's just been a little difficult to write because since Max is making all the different choices, it's kind of steering away from the game. So, you know, I have to add some new things while sticking to the original story. So anyways, let me know what you all think about this video below. In the comments below, sorry. This is TotalGamerJunkie, signing off.